Sounds good.
Sounds good. Well, that went quick. I had
Sound
that then. I thought it was going to fade right on out, but it did not fade. It was just,
yeah,
all right, we're done.
yeah.
Well, that's how we are today.
We're
We're really
done.
trying to get things done pretty quickly here. So we're not
Well, it
going to
is
spend a lot of time
lunchtime.
playing
It
around.
is lunchtime, so
It
over
is
the next
lunchtime.
15
Yeah.
Boy,
minutes.
some chicken wings would really hit the spot.
Yeah, you're right. That sounded real good right now. Tell you what, chicken
Yeah,
wings. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm more of
So
a
what
ranch dressing guy. So I got to have that ranch dressing, not that blue cheese. Man, I'm not a blue cheese fan. Something about
I
blue
don't
cheese
like blue
seems
cheese.
wrong.
That's mixing something. That's like
Actually, pretty much blue food does not make sense.
it's kind of like bacon and syrup. I can't put those two together. Like I know people do that
Oh,
with their
come on.
pancakes and
Bacon works on
mm,
anything.
uh,
I even saw some bacon
separate.
flavored
It's
Diet
separate.
Coke.
It's separate.
Oh, no, no,
Both
no.
both of them are delicious. Put them together.
Bacon,
I don't like it.
bacon is the duct tape.
Oh my gosh, yes, you are right. So listen, today we are going to talk to crude oil to $100 within 6 months. That sounds crazy, but hear us out. Does that sound
Have
crazy,
you
Bill?
lost your freaking mind? $100 in 6 months?
Yes.
You're talking about by March of 2026?
Yes.
Wow. All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it because it can happen.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the points and then we're going to dive in deeper to each point. Okay. So we're going to talk about each point
Right.
first and then we're going to come back to each point. All right. So the first element that we need to think about is supply will not grow globally at $60. This is a
Nope.
fundamental fact. You can see it, you can witness it in the United States. We didn't grow at $70 a barrel.
Right.
Okay. Last year we were at $70. We didn't grow. We maybe grew 100,000 barrels on 13.3 million barrels a day. We're not going to grow. The U.S. is not going to grow. Venezuela, Guyana, Nigeria, like there's going to be fewer outputs because the economic friction is higher at $60. So supply will
Right.
not grow globally at 60. And I know I'm talking non-OPEC plus. OPEC plus, we'll talk about that separately when we come back to this point. But what do you think of
Right.
that thesis right there?
No, I don't think there's not enough. That's not enough capital. It's not going to attract enough capital investment to grow.
Yes. And I do want to say we're not financial advisors. Read all the disclaimers below. This is not a recommendation to buy or sell any commodity, any stock, anything out there. This is just our unfiltered thoughts on the commodity markets coming from Energy Rogue. Bill and Brian at Energy Rogue, we contemplate the market and we have products that we'll introduce a little bit later at the end if you're interested in following the commodity markets. But we take a fundamental view of the marketplace first and then a technical view of the marketplace second. We're not going to dive into the second part because technicals are going to be inside of 6 months, so we're talking within 6 months. So we're going to focus on fundamentals. Supply will not grow globally at $60. That's just that's our
Right.
viewpoint. That's our
We'll come back to that
perspective.
point.
Yeah. Demand is still growing, but not as fast, right?
Right. So the demand is still continue to grow. If you're caught up in percentages, you need to throw those away and start looking at real demand. How much how many are actually growing and how fast they're growing. And demand is still growing. And there's a lot of people on the international basis where we haven't even begin to tap the demand there.
Yeah. Or said a different way, China, we got used to China growing from 10 to 15%. Then the 10 to 15 became 6 to 9%. Now the 6 to 9% has become 4 to 6%. But 4 to 6% versus a
Right.
Eurozone at 1%, a US at 1%, 4% is pretty massive growth. And that is one of the reasons that China comes up in the conversation whenever we talk about demand. So demand is still
Right.
growing, but not as fast. So
Correct.
the next one, okay, there's a lot of you can't turn on news or the internet or your computer without hearing about the big beautiful bill and the inflationary pressures and the increase to the debt base for the U.S. Economic system. So when you add more dollars to the equation, and relatively speaking, the same amount of crude oil, you have an inflationary pressure on the US dollar to crude oil relationship. So, what that means is that there's an economic underpinning that would lift crude oil prices. Because if there's more dollars on a real basis, there's more dollars, roughly the same volume of crude oil, then the price of crude oil in that denominated currency should increase. That's what it should do.
Right.
That's what it should do. Now, will it? I don't know.
It seems
What's
what seems backwards to most people is that as the U.S. dollar becomes less valuable in the world, the price of crude oil will go up based on the U.S. dollar. As
right?
long as the crude oil is priced in U.S. dollars, it will track that way. Now, there's been a few people who try to push other currencies for the crude oil. It has not been quite as successful as the Russians have tried that, and I believe the Chinese have tried it as well.
Yeah. Well, and we're not going to dive into the economic currency to commodity world because we would be here for 5 hours. But that relationship is changing. The petrodollar is changing. How it changes, what it looks like in 5 years is going to be different than today. And we have a viewpoint of what that might be. But I can guarantee whatever is in your mind, it's going to look different. So
Right.
that's the key. Now, lastly, this loops back to the supply will not grow at $60. The real cost to produce, we got this number from a producer in the United States that in the last 10 years, the AFE, or what does that stand for?
I'm
Authorized
waiting for you to hear this.
fixed.
What's an AFE?
What is an AFE? I forgot the acronym. Is it
Authority
uh,
for expenditure. Authority for expenditure.
okay? Yeah. Are you questioning my authority for those South Park fans?
Authority. That's right.
Yeah, authority. So, on a real basis, the cost to produce crude oil has increased 300%, while crude oil prices are effectively the same that they were 10 years ago. So,
And these are U.S. numbers. U.S. numbers.
these are US numbers, this is using a US molecule as a proxy for around the globe. But I've heard the same in the Middle East. I've heard the same in Africa. I've heard the
Right.
same in South America. The real cost to produce, equipment costs more. People cost more.
Right.
Inflationary pressures have gone up, but the value of the commodity that you produce is the same. That tells you that and then we'll loop back to this one. Supply will not grow globally at $60. And again, we're not financial advisors. Do all your research. This is not a recommendation to buy or sell any stock, any commodity. This is just our opinion on what would take crude oil to $100. Demand is still growing, but not as fast. Okay, this is an OPEC monthly report. This came out in July. This came out 8 days ago. In 2025, the projected demand is 105.1 million barrels a day. And the projected demand in 2026 is 106.4. Now we're not talking a massive growth, like a million barrels a day, 1.3 million barrels a day, But this means the demand for crude oil is continuing to grow. So the lens that we put that growth in really changes over time. And I also really like the way OPEC puts out this economic growth rate of the world. You can see China has slowed to this 4.6, 4.5%. India is
Right.
growing at a clip of 6.5. I think that may be a little low. What do you think, Bill?
You know, listen, I've been telling you for 2 years, India is the one to watch. I mean, it now has more people
India
than
is going to
China.
be what we're going to watch
It's
for
a
crude
freer
oil for the
economy than
next 10.
China.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I think the next decade is the decade for India.
Yeah. So let's get back to we already talked about why supply wouldn't grow. Costs have increased, but revenue's the same. From a simplistic standpoint, we're not going to be in a growth pattern. Demand is growing, and that's validated by OPEC. Now you can go to IEA, you're going to come up with a different number. I think they have 800,000. So they're within 500,000 barrels of oil a day. And if you go a little deeper into each analytical stack, it's the way that they count that references the difference. You're talking about accounting differences,
Right.
not philosophical differences, because when you measure two different data sets, you're going to come up with two different results. So, but there is no question IEA, OPEC both see crude oil demand growing. Maybe not as fast, but it's still growing. So if supply stays the same and demand grows, now you add in the third element, which is the US dollar inflates, because there's more dollars floating around in the currency. That causes inflationary pressure on the US dollar to crude oil. Okay. That's an economic theory that we would be here for hours and hours and hours on. We're not going to dive into that. If you if you want to learn more about that or something, drop us a comment and we'll come back to it. And this one just really supported the supply. So
Right.
wrap this up. $100 is probably a decent base case to look at in the next 6 months. Now, if energy prices impacts your business, whether you sell, move, or purchase energy products, and those energy products could be natural gas, could be natural gas liquids. So we got natural gas liquids, crude oil, refined products, electricity. If any of these impact your business and you are not staying on top of the commodity markets, I guarantee that you're losing value for your company, your business, or your individual trading account if you're an individual trader. And that is the reason that we came up with Energy Rogue. And we actually have, if you just go to energyrogue.com and click, I want to see how it works, you'll go to here. You can learn a little bit more about us. We have two basic packages. One is Rogue Radar, $89 a month, and you'll get two PDF reports, and one of them will have our convenient red light, green light system that'll tell you whether or not we are bullish or bearish or in a pause, in a caution element. And then you also have video briefings like this where Bill and I talk open forum about what is happening in the marketplace. You get daily tools, which will include daily support and resistance levels, a bull and bear bias. And this is going to save you 30 hours of research every single week. And then for those that want to dive in deeper and get into the interactive downloadable charts, we have our Rogue Edge platform at $179 a month. And you get a daily trade chat, which we talk about the market every single day in our Discord channel, in a private Discord channel, an interactive chart dashboard, priority access. We're going to give you commentary on your positions and give you our opinion. And that's kind of an exclusive benefit of Rogue Edge, which is $179 a month. So if you need to evaluate natural gas liquids, crude oil, refined products, and refined products, that could be motor gasoline, that could be diesel. All of these are going to be critical in understanding what is happening in the marketplace. So did I miss anything there, Bill?
I don't think you missed a thing. So, folks, listen, I know it seems crazy that crude oil will go to $100. It's not as crazy as you think. And if you want to find out why, come subscribe to us, and we would be more than happy to start working with you on understanding the energy markets under each commodity.
Yep. So listen, folks, thanks so much. We're gonna try and keep these a little shorter. It's gonna be a little shorter, but we want to have an open question to where if you learn something, drop us a like. If you learn something, drop us a comment. If you have a question, drop us a comment. We will get back to you. So we appreciate you listening and sharing part of your day. And right now, I think since it's lunchtime in the Central Time Zone,
Boy, some chicken wings had really hit the spot.
and for those that
There
hadn't
you
seen,
go.
best movie ever. So that's what we got today. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next week, right, Bill?
That's right. Just remember, if you want to know
We're
who we
two
are,
dudes setting out with a common goal.
That is
there you
right.
go.
So thanks so much, folks. We'll see you next week.